You already know what your voice is. You've known it since you were a child, since the first time someone told you to quiet down, since the first time you sang alone in a room and heard yourself fill the space around you. Your voice is sound, vibrations, air, waves moving outward from your mouth at 343 meters per second, carrying your words, your tone, your meaning, all the way to the ears of the person standing in front of you. Of course it is. What else would it be? And here's the thing. You're not wrong to think that. Every physics textbook agrees with you. Every teacher who ever explained sound to you was pointing in the same direction. But here's the number that's going to quietly ruin that for you. When you speak, your vocal cords vibrate somewhere between 85 and 1,000 times per second. That's not a metaphor. That's a mechanical, measurable oscillation happening inside your throat right now every time you make a sound. 85 to 1,000 times per second.
And in all of that furious, precise, rapid movement, not a single molecule of air travels from your mouth to someone else's ear. Not one. So what exactly is your voice? Because if it isn't the air, and it isn't the molecules moving through space, if nothing physical actually travels from you to them, then what just left your mouth when you spoke? Sit with that for a second. Because the answer is stranger than you think. The most obvious answer is this: your voice is vibrating air. You speak, your vocal cords move, they push the air in front of them, and that air pushes the air in front of it, and so on. A chain of little shoves moving outward like a wave in a pond. That's the answer. That has to be the answer. And it feels right because it's almost right. There is movement. There is air involved. Something really is traveling from your mouth to someone else's ear. But here's what the physics actually says. The air molecules in a sound wave don't go anywhere. When you speak, each individual molecule moves forward and then comes back, forward, back, an oscillation so small it's almost insulting. We're talking about displacement on the order of a fraction of a millimeter, less than the width of a human hair for a normal conversational voice. The molecule doesn't travel, it nudges its neighbor, which nudges its neighbor, which nudges its neighbor. What moves is the pattern of nudging, not the air. So fine, your voice isn't the air molecules, your voice is the wave, the compression pattern, the rhythm of pressure changes propagating outward at 343 meters per second. That's your voice, the pattern, right? Except, here's where it gets uncomfortable. A pressure wave carries no identity. Take two people, a man and a woman, completely different voices, completely different vocal tracts. Now take a single note they both sing at exactly the same pitch and volume. Record the pressure wave from each voice. Strip away the harmonics. Look at the raw compression pattern at that one frequency. They are physically identical. Identical pressure values, identical timing, identical wave shape. So if your voice is the pressure wave, which one of those waves is yours? What in that wave says you? Where in those oscillating air molecules is the thing that makes your mother recognize your voice through a wall? The wave doesn't know who made it. And now you're stuck. Because if your voice isn't the air, and it isn't the molecules, and it isn't even the pressure pattern, then what is it? You don't have an answer anymore. Nobody handed you one in school. The textbook stopped before it got here. Good. That's exactly where we need to be. Your voice is not sound. That's the answer. Simple, clean, and deeply strange. Your voice is a pattern of electromagnetic force, encoded into matter, propagated through space, and decoded on the other side by a membrane of tissue and bone. Not air, force. Every word you have ever spoken, every whisper, every shout, every time you said someone's name, none of it was ever in the air, the way you imagined. The air was just the medium. The thing that was actually traveling was a temporary deformation of the electromagnetic field that surrounds every single atom in your path. Think about what that means. You open your mouth. Your vocal cords create a precise mechanical disturbance. That disturbance propagates outward, not as matter moving through space, but as a ripple in the force field that holds matter together. Your voice is a ripple in the fabric of the electromagnetic world. And here's the first piece of the mechanism, the part that makes this concrete rather than poetic. Every atom in the air around you is surrounded by an electron cloud, a dense, negatively charged shell. When a pressure wave moves through air, it isn't just pushing molecules, it's forcing those electron clouds into momentary, ordered collisions. Each collision slightly deforms the EM field of the atoms involved. That deformation passes to the next atom, and the next. What travels isn't matter. What travels is a cascading deformation of electromagnetic force from atom to atom, all the way to the eardrum of the person listening to you. You didn't send them air. You sent them a disturbance in the field that makes air possible. Let's go deeper, because the mechanism is even stranger than that. When you speak, your vocal cords don't just vibrate randomly. They vibrate in a pattern that is uniquely yours, shaped by the exact geometry of your larynx, the specific density of your tissue, the precise dimensions of your throat, your mouth, your nasal cavity. No two humans on Earth have the same vocal tract geometry, not even close. Which means the electromagnetic disturbance your voice creates, the specific pattern of field deformations propagating outward from your mouth, carries a fingerprint, your fingerprint. Encoded not in the air, but in the shape of the force itself. That's what your mother recognizes through the wall. Not air, not pressure, a pattern of electromagnetic force so specific to your body that it is, in a real physical sense, an extension of you. Now here's where it gets truly molecular. Zoom in, past the air, past the molecules, down to a single nitrogen atom floating in the space between your mouth and someone's ear. That atom is mostly empty space. You've heard this before. But what fills that empty space isn't nothing, it's field. A dense, dynamic electromagnetic field generated by the nucleus and the electrons orbiting it. When your voice passes through that atom, when the pressure wave reaches it, the electron cloud deforms, just slightly, just for a fraction of a microsecond. The field around that atom changes shape in response to the disturbance you created with your body. And then it passes that change to the next atom, and the next. A chain of electromagnetic deformations, atom by atom, field by field, carrying the specific pattern of your vocal geometry across the room. You are not sending sound through the air. You are sending a cascade of field distortions through matter, and that cascade is shaped like you. Now connect this upward, all the way to the fundamental level. The electromagnetic force is one of the 4 fundamental forces of the universe. It's the force responsible for virtually everything you experience in daily life. It holds electrons in orbit around nuclei. It prevents your hand from passing through a table. It makes chemistry possible. It makes life possible. And it is the force your voice travels on. Every word you speak is a local fluctuation in the same field that holds atoms together. The same force that makes matter solid, that gives the physical world its texture and resistance, is the carrier of your most human act. When you speak, you are briefly reshaping the electromagnetic architecture of the universe along the path between your mouth and someone else's mind. And now, the part that's going to stay with you. That electromagnetic field, the one your voice travels on, is the same field that is holding you together right now. The electrons in your own atoms, the bonds between your molecules, the force that keeps your cells from collapsing into each other, that gives your skin its resistance, that makes your body a coherent physical object rather than a cloud of particles, all of it runs on the same force your voice uses to reach another person. You speak with the force that holds you together. Let that land. Every conversation you have ever had was not 2 people exchanging air. It was 2 electromagnetic structures, 2 human bodies, each held together by the same fundamental force, momentarily reshaping each other across space. When someone's voice reaches you and something shifts inside you, when a word lands differently than you expected, when a tone of voice changes the entire meaning of a sentence, that is not metaphor. That is physics. Their electromagnetic disturbance physically altered the field around the atoms in your eardrum.
which moved a membrane, which triggered a nerve, which became a thought. You have never just heard someone. You have felt them at the atomic level every single time. Feynman once said that when you get as small as atoms, you have to be prepared to find that things are very different from what you expected. Not a little different, entirely different. And he was right. But what's remarkable is that when you follow that difference all the way down, you don't end up somewhere cold and mechanical. You end up somewhere that makes the ordinary feel enormous. You end up here, standing in a room, about to speak. And now you know what's about to happen when you do. Your vocal cords will move. A cascade of electromagnetic deformations will ripple outward through the field that holds matter together. A pattern, your pattern, shaped by the specific geometry of your body, will travel across the space between you and another person. Something will leave your mouth, and it is not air. It is a disturbance in the force that makes the physical world possible, carrying the shape of you, reaching into the atomic structure of the person in front of you, and briefly, measurably, physically, changing them. That's what a voice is. If that reframes something for you, if the room you're sitting in feels slightly different now than it did 5 minutes ago, share this with someone. Not because an algorithm needs it, but because what just happened to you, someone else deserves to have happened to them too.